Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out to our 9th annual Poetry Out Loud competition for the County of Santa Barbara. This is actually the 10th year celebration of this program. Santa Barbara County got involved in the 2nd year. It's a program, we were among some of the early counties that adopted the program, and it's continued to grow throughout the state and across the country. And it's a phenomenal program, and I want to acknowledge each and every teacher and parent and all of those of you students that added an additional thing to your work and your studies to include this. It's a very important program, and we are so delighted to have you be part of it. I wanted to do a couple of thank yous and a couple of housekeeping notes. We are also waiting because not all of our contestants are here yet, so I'm stalling a little bit. If anybody here has not registered, they should go up to Sharon Hoshida, who is at the very end of the table with her hand raised, and she will make sure she gets your poem. She'll be serving as the accuracy judge. So I wanted to tell you, as far as housekeeping, we will be going through these after you give your Chris Yost, our City Poet Laureate, who I will give more information on later, will be acting as the MC for the evening, and your name will be announced, and you will do your poem, and then we will wait while the judges do their tallies and deliberate and so on. So they'll give us a heads up when they're ready for the next performance. So that's how we'll be doing it. And as far as housekeeping, I'm going to ask everyone at this moment to make sure all of your cell phones are silenced in an off position so we don't have any issues like that to interrupt the program. I wanted to mention in terms of the facilities, if you need their restrooms out this door, and the women's is on this side of the elevator, the men's is on the other side of the elevator, right out the door there. And when we break for our reception, that will be held in the Board of Supervisors conference room, which if you exit this door, you'll see it'll be the double doors right there on your right. So that's, I think, the housekeeping. And then I also wanted to just take an opportunity to recognize the Arts Commission staff who help with all of the aspects of this and were helpful in getting the reception. So Rita Ferry, our Visual Arts Coordinator, if you want to stand up, and Lynn Zamenza, also our business analyst. And she does all of our grants programs for the city and the county. Later on, joining us will be Annette Hurtado from Assembly Doss Williams' office, who will be here to give a presentation to the winner tonight. And there will also be a representative, Leora Goodman, representing State Senator Hannah-Beth Jackson's office. So I think that will be great. We haven't had those presentations before. So I want to take an opportunity, and Chris, do you want to introduce the judges? I certainly can. Okay. That would be great. Chris Yost is our current serving City Poet Laureate. She is the 5th one. The City of Santa Barbara started a Poet Laureate program, and it's been phenomenal in terms of what it's added to poetry in our community and people's interest in poetry, and you guys are living testament to that. So she's going to be acting as the MC, and I'm going to have her introduce. She's a published poet herself. You can get many of her books, and perhaps she'll share some of them with you. And I want to allow her an opportunity to introduce the judges, who are also poets themselves and some past Poet Laureates. So, Chris, thank you.
I'm not sure how well this mic works. I'm guessing I'm going to need to lift it up a little. Okay. Welcome, everybody. I see some familiar faces, especially among our committed teachers who make this happen every year. Thank you so much. Welcome. How many of you in the audience have been to a Poetry Out Loud competition before? Fantastic. So maybe a third. For those of you who haven't been through this exciting event, it really is amazing to hear these students bring their poems to life and to have the opportunity to witness that. What happens is each reader comes up, delivers their poem, and then our judges, our live judges here today, will score them. And there is a score sheet, so they're all graded on the same criteria, which include physical presence, voice and articulation, dramatic appropriateness, level of complexity, evidence of understanding, and overall performance. And then there's an additional point that's added for accuracy. So I'm going to take that opportunity. After each reader, there's a slight pause as our judges do their tally. And I'm going to introduce the judges during those little pauses, so you'll get to know them all in a leisurely fashion. So I'd like to go ahead and start with our first reader and just jump right in. Vita Luce will be doing Aria. And she is from Dos Pueblos High School.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. This is Aria by David Barber. What if it were possible to vanquish all this shame with a wash of varnish, instead of wishing the stain would vanish? What if you gave it a glossy finish? What if there were a way to burnish all this foolishness, all the anguish? What if you gave yourself leave to ravish all these ravages with famished relish? What if this were your way to flourish? What if the self you love to punish, knavish, peevish, wolfish, sheepish, were all slicked up in something lavish? Why so squeamish? Why make a fetish out of everything you must relinquish? Why not embellish what you can't abolish? What would be left if you couldn't brandish all the slavishness you failed to banish? What would you be without this gibberish? What if the true worth of the varnish were to replenish your resolve to vanquish every vain wish before you vanish? Thank you.
See? It's pretty great. Ginny is also a roadie in her spare time. I'm going to introduce our first of our three judges. Again, we have three judges and one accuracy judge. The first judge I'm going to introduce is Perry Longo. She is a former poet laureate of Santa Barbara. Actually, once a poet laureate, you're always a poet laureate. She was the second appointed to the position after Barry Spax, and she is a wonderful poet. Her most recent book is Baggage Claim. Are our judges ready for the next reader? You're going to get to hear one of those poems next. And now we have Isabella Melsheimer. She is from which school? Orchid Academy? All right, come on up.
Yeah, thank you. Revenge by Letitia Elizabeth Landon. I gaze upon her rose-wreathed hair and gaze upon her smile. Seem as you drank the very air her breath perfumed the while, and wake for her the gifted line that wild and witching lay, and swear your heart is as a shrine that only owns her sway. 'Tis well, I am revenged at last. Mark you that scornful cheek? The eye averted as you passed spoke more than words could speak. I, now by all the bitter tears that I have shed for thee, the racking doubts, the burning fears, avenged they well may be. By the nights passed in sleepless care, the days of endless woe, all that you taught my heart to bear,
all that yourself will know. I would not wish to see you laid within an early tomb. I should forget how you betrayed and only weep your doom. But this is fitting punishment, to live and love in vain. O my wrung heart, be thou content, and feed upon his pain. Go thou, and watch her lightest sigh. Thine own it will not be, and bask beneath her sunny eye, it will not turn on thee. 'Tis well, the rack, the chain, the wheel, far better hadst thou proved. Even I could almost pity feel, for thou art nor beloved.
You just get a reset. I can probably just lift it out even. Okay. I'm going to share a poem with you from Perry Longo's Baggage Claim. What I forgot to write. At the foot of the Tetons, my husband loved, where he hung between life and death when young. I asked the gravedigger, why such a deep hole? High water table, he mumbled and kept on when the minister called for the ashes. I remembered placing them in the corner of the motel room where the maid wouldn't see and cart them off. Wait, I said. Jumped in the hole of the car, barreled down the freeway, 5 miles into town past the eatery and pizza place and one gas station, the bank, the rusted wheelbarrow filled with orange nasturtiums beside the white wood house where he was raised, and gathered him up, pressed him to my breast in the dark room where he was so light. Perry Longo. Our next reader is Neva Prodlam, who will be reading The Tiger. She's from Anacapa School. Come on up.
Yeah. The Tiger by William Blake. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In the distant deeps or skies, burnt the fire of thine eyes. On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain? In what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dread grasp dare its deadly terrors clasp? When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee? Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry?
Make things a little easier for Ginny. I'm going to introduce next Sojourner Kincaid Roll, who's sitting right next to Perry in the back there. She is a foundation of our poetry community. She's been present in so many ways for many years, working with students and coaching past winners, people who've placed very well here. So we're happy she can be here today as a judge. Thank you, Sojourner. Judges, are you ready for our next reader? Okay, they're quick. Hold on. Travis Smiley with Strange Meeting. He's from Laguna Blanca School.
Strange Meeting by Wilfred Owen. It seemed that out of battle, I escaped down some profound, dull tunnel, long since scooped through granites which titanic wars had groined. Yet also there encumbered sleepers groaned, too fast in thought or death to be bestirred. Then, as I probed them, one sprang up and stared with piteous recognition in fixed eyes, lifting distressful hands as if to bless. And by his smile, I knew that sullen hall. By his dead smile, I knew we stood in hell. With 1,000 fears, that vision's face was grained, yet no blood reached there from the upper ground, and no guns thumped or down the flues made moan. Strange friend, I said, here is no cause to mourn. None, said the other, save the undone years, the hopelessness. Whatever hope was yours was my life also. I went hunting wild, after the wildest beauty in the world, which lies not calm in eyes or braided hair, but mocks the steady running of the hour, and if it grieves, grieves richlier than here. For by my glee might many men have laughed, and of my weeping something had been left, which must die now. I mean the truth untold, the pity of war, the pity war distilled. Now men will go content with what we spoiled, or discontent, boil bloody and be spilled. They will be swift, with the swiftness of the tigress. None will break ranks, though nations trek from progress. Courage was mine, and I had mystery. Wisdom was mine, and I had mastery. To miss this march into a retreating world where vain citadels are not walled. Then, when much blood had clogged their chariot wheels, I would go up and wash from sweet wells, even with truths that lie too deep for taint. I would pour my spirit without stint, but not through wounds, not on the cess of war. Foreheads of men have bled where no wounds were. I am the enemy you killed, my friend. I knew you in this dark, for so you frowned. Yesterday through me as you jabbed and killed. I parried, but my hands were loath and cold. Let us sleep now. Thank you.
This is going to be like seeing 18 micro plays. They are all so wonderfully dramatic and evocative. Thank you so much for that. Our next poet will be Damara Lopez Nelson. She'll be reading Bent to the Earth. You guys need a minute? Not ready quite yet? The person telling me he wasn't quite ready, Paul J. Willis, a former Santa Barbara Poet Laureate, although still, as ever, a Santa Barbara Poet Laureate. He preceded me in the office, and I am filling his shoes. Are you ready? All right, Damara, come on up from Dos Pueblos High School. Oh, Damara didn't make it. Okay. It's like I was saying, 17 one-act plays. Aldrin. Is Aldrin ready? How do you pronounce your last name? Aesop. Okay, we'll be reading delivering the display of the mackerel. Thank you.
That's good. A Display of Mackerel by Mark Doty. They lie in parallel rows on ice, head to tail, each a foot of luminosity barred with black bands which divide the scale's radiant sections, like seams of lead in a Tiffany window, iridescent, watery prismatics. Think abalone, the wildly rainbowed mirror of a soap bubble sphere. Think sun on gasoline, splendor, and not a one in any way distinguished from the other. Nothing about them of individuality. Instead, they are all exact expressions of the one soul, each a perfect fulfillment of heaven's template, mackerel essence, as if, after a lifetime arriving at this enameling, the jewelers made uncountable examples, each as intricate in its oily fabulation as the one before. Suppose we could iridesce like these and lose ourselves entirely in the universe of shimmer. Would you want to be yourself, only unduplicatable, doomed to be lost? They prefer plainly to be flashing participants, multitudinous. Even now they seem to be bolting forward, heedless of stasis. They don't care they're dead and nearly frozen, just as, presumably, they didn't care that they were living. All for all. The rainbowed school and its acres of brilliant classrooms in which no verb is singular, or everyone is. How happy they seem, even on ice, to be together, selfless, which is the price of gleaming.
Impressive, and able to jump up with very little notice. Is this just not going to want to go up any higher than that? I think you're stronger than you realize there. Okay. I wanted to read one of Paul Willis's poems. This is called February. Seems appropriate for the occasion. This is the season of sour grass, shy, lovely beside our driveway. Hannah gathers the stalks in her arms like so many sheaves of daffodils across her shoulder, green, gold. I remember the alley behind my grandmother's house in Anaheim, rifted with them along the fence. One by one, I crushed their stems across my teeth, dripping the delight of winter down my lips. A shudder, an ache in the roots of my tongue, the approaching impossibility of too much good in the world. It's a lovely poem. Ready? Next up is Erin Garcia from Orchid Academy, who will be reading Onions.
Onions by William Matthews. How easily happiness begins by dicing onions. A lump of sweet butter slithers and swirls across the floor of the sauté pan, especially if its errant path crosses a tiny slick of olive oil. Then, a tumble of onions. This can mean soup or risotto or chutney, from the Sanskrit chatni, to lick. Slowly the onions go limp, and then nacreous, and then what cookbooks call clear, though if they were eyes, you could see clearly the cataracts in them. It's true it can make you weep to peel them, to unfurl and to tease from the taut ball first the brittle, caramel-colored and decrepit papery outside layer, the least recent the reticent onion wrapped around its growing body, for there's nothing to an onion but skin. And it's true, you can go on weeping as you go on in through the moist middle skins, the sweetest and thickest, and you can go on into the core, to the bud-like, acrid, fibrous skins densely clustered there, stocky and incomplete. And these are the most pungent, like the nuggets of nightmare and rage and murmury animal comfort that infant humans secrete. This is the best domestic perfume. You sit down to eat with a rumor of onions still on your twice-washed hands, and lift to your mouth a hint of a story about loam and usual endurance. It's there when you clean up and rinse the wine glasses and make a joke, and you leave the minutest whiff of it on the light switch. Later, when you climb the stairs.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Our final judge back there is our accuracy judge, Sharon Hoshida. She's also one of the co-owners of Granada Books. She is active with the Women's Literary Festival and other political action committees throughout town. So thank you for being here, Sharon. Are you guys ready? Quick. Leah Millar, She Walks in Beauty, from Anacapa School.
She Walks in Beauty by Lord Byron. She walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all that's best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes. And fateful to that tender light which heaven to gaudy day denies. When shade the more, when ray the less, had half impaired the tender grace which waves in every raven tress, or softly lightens o'er her face. Where thoughts serenely sweet express how dear, how pure their dwelling place. And on that cheek and o'er that brow, so soft, so calm, yet eloquent, the smiles that win, the tint that glow, but tell of days in goodness spent, a mind that's pure with all below, a heart whose love is innocent.
Thank you. You're so kind. You do that every time. You have to get an automated mic, one that's set for multiple drivers, you know, like you can set your car seat. So we have 5 schools participating. I'd like to take a moment to just acknowledge each of the schools and the teachers from the schools. Anacapa School, Peggy Lauer. Here? Yep. Thank you. Dos Pueblos High School, Stephanie Henderson. Courtney Cruz. Okay, Gretchen Hess. Monica Kaplan. Not here? Thank you anyway. Laguna Blanca School, Bojana Hill. Thank you. Orcutt Academy High School, Michael Shaw, Jan Brown, Graham Culbertson, Lauren Eubanks, Scott Galoti, and Megan McKenzie. Thank you all. Pioneer Valley High School, Ben Rothstein, Miles Brown, and Shauna Van Groningen. Groningen? Did I get that wrong? Groningen. It's all good. Thank you for being so gracious about my mistake. Speaking of things that are going to be a little difficult to pronounce, Axelina Hallstrom? Yes. Okay. Fantastic. The Death of Allegory, and she is from Pioneer Valley High School.
The Death of Allegory by Billy Collins. I am wondering what became of all those tall abstractions that used to pose, robed and statuesque in paintings, and parade about on the pages of the Renaissance, displaying their capital letters like license plates. Truth, cantering on a powerful horse. Chastity, eyes downcast, fluttering with veils. Each one was marble come to life, a thought in a coat. Courtesy, bowing with one hand always extended. Villainy, sharpening an instrument behind a wall. Reason with her crown, and constancy alert behind a helm. They are all retired now, consigned to Florida for tropes. Justice is there standing by an open refrigerator. Valor lies in bed, listening to the rain. Even death has nothing to do but mend his cloak and hood. And all their props are locked away in a warehouse. Hourglasses, globes, blindfolds, and shackles. Even if you called them back, there would be no places left for them to go. No garden of mirth or bower of bliss. The valley of forgiveness is lined with condominiums, and chainsaws are howling in the forest of despair. Here on the table, near the window, is a vase of peonies, and next to it, black binoculars and a money clip. Exactly the kind of thing we now prefer. Objects that sit quietly on a line in lowercase, themselves and nothing more. A wheelbarrow, an empty mailbox, a razor blade resting in a glass ashtray. As for the others, the great ideas on horseback and the long-haired virtues in embroidered gowns, it looks as though they have traveled down that road you see on the final pages of storybooks, the one that winds up the green hillside and disappears into an unseen valley where everyone must be fast asleep. Thank you.
Billy Collins is always a good read. He's got a lot of energy. So funding and support for Poetry Out Loud, it's a lot of big organizations. It's a national competition. Again, I know some of you have been here before, but for those of you who haven't, this was started by the National Endowment for the Arts with the idea that we really need to hear poems to appreciate them. We really need to see them come to life. And they had this idea to create a program that would really engage the teachers, recognize how essential the teachers and the schools were to the process, and allow students to have that opportunity to present in front of their peers. And whoever is selected here today will be going up to Sacramento, and then whoever wins at the state level, you go to Washington, and you can compete there. So it's a big deal, and I honor all of you that are here today doing this, because it's impressive. So just let's have a round of applause for everybody. So the next student is Chris Benwitt, who will be doing Richard Corey. Chris is from Laguna Blanca School.
Richard Corey by Edwin Arlington Robinson. Whenever Richard Corey went downtown, we people on the pavement looked at him. He was a gentleman, from soul to crown, clean-favored and imperially slim. And he was always quietly arrayed, and he was always human when he talked. But still, he fluttered pulses when he said good morning, and he glittered when he walked. And he was rich, yes, richer than a king, and admirably schooled in every grace. In fine, we thought that he was everything to make us wish that we were in his place. So on we worked and waited for the light, and went without the meat and cursed the bread. And Richard Corey, one calm summer night, went home and put a bullet through his head. Thank you.
Yes, visual aids. This is the kind of stuff the teachers go through to prepare for this. There's also an anthology that's provided to their students so that they can select from poems, and a website that's got even more poems on it. There's a lot to choose from. It's a huge resource. Again, it's a really impressive program, and I'm so happy to see it living here in Santa Barbara. The Poetry Foundation, the California Arts Council, the Santa Barbara County Arts Commission, and California Poets in the Schools also all make this happen here. We love them all. We'll give them all their moment. You guys ready? Ready? Okay. Next student is Callie Zhang, Memory as a Hearing Aid. She's from Dos Pueblos High School.
Thank you. Somewhere, someone is asking a question, and I stand squinting at the classroom with one hand cupped behind my ear, trying to figure out where that voice is coming from. I might be already an old man, attempting to recall the night his hearing got misplaced. Front row and center at a battle of the bands, where a lot of leather-clad second-rate musicians, amped up to dinosaur proportions, test drove their equipment through our ears. Each time the drummer threw a tantrum, the guitarists whirled and sprayed us with machine gun riffs, as if they wished they could knock us quite literally dead. We called that fun in 1970, when we weren't sure our lives were worth surviving. I'm here to tell you that they were, and many of us did despite ourselves, though the road from there to here is paved with dead brain cells, parents shocked to silence, and squad cars painting the whole neighborhood the quaking tint and texture of red jelly. Friends, we should have postmarks on our foreheads to show where we've been. We should have pointed ears or polka-dotted skin to show what we were thinking when we hot-rodded over God's front lawn. And death kept blinking. But here I stand, an average-looking man, staring at a room where someone blonde in braids and a beautiful belief in answers is still asking questions. Through the silence in my dead ear, I can almost hear the future whisper to the past. It says that this is not a test, and everybody passes. Thank you.
Maybe you had an announcement. I think your sister was one of placed with last year or 2 years ago? Just last year. Good to see you back, representing for the family. Ready? Okay. Eden Bailey will be doing Degrees of Gray, Orchid Academy High School.
Degrees of Gray in Phillipsburg by Richard Hugo. You might come here Sunday on a whim, say your life broke down. The last good kiss you had was years ago. You walk these streets laid out by the insane, past hotels that didn't last, bars that did, the tortured try of local drivers to accelerate their lives. Only churches are kept up. The jail turned 70 this year. The only prisoner is always in, not knowing what he's done. The principal supporting business now is rage, hatred of the various grays the mountain sends, hatred of the mill, the silver bill repeal, the best-liked girls who leave each year for Butte. One good restaurant and bars can't wipe the boredom out. The 1907 boom, 8 going silver mines, a dance floor built on springs. All memory resolves itself in gaze. In panoramic green, you know the cattle eat, or 2 stacks high above the town, 2 dead kilns. The huge mill in collapse for 50 years that won't fall finally down. Isn't this your life? That ancient kiss still burning out your eyes? Isn't this defeat so accurate? The church bell simply seems a pure announcement. Ring and no one comes. Don't empty houses ring? Are magnesium and scorn sufficient to support a town, not just Phillipsburg, but towns of towering blondes, a good jazz, and booze the world will never let you have till the town you came from dies inside? Say no to yourself. The old man, 20 when the jail was built, still laughs, although his lips collapse. Someday soon, he says, I'll go to sleep and not wake up. You tell him no. You're talking to yourself. The car that brought you here still runs. The money you buy lunch with, no matter where it's mined, is silver. And the girl who serves your food is slender, and her red hair lights the wall.
Yeah, do we check if, is it Damara? Did she ever arrive? Probably not going to, okay. If she does, just call out. I know we had some traffic earlier, so I think people were delayed. I keep saying reader out of habit to say the next poetry reader will be, but I'm amazed at how well these students have all just internalized these poems. So forgive my kind of antiquated phrase. It's not really appropriate here. You students are doing fantastic. The next is Quinn Pham doing The Conqueror Worm. Ready? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Okay. From Dos Pueblos High School, come on up.
The Conqueror Worm by Edgar Allan Poe. Lo, 'tis a gala night, within the lonesome latter years, an angel throng bewinged, bedight in veils and drowned in tears. Sit in a theater to see a play of hopes and fears, while the orchestra breathes fitfully the music of the spheres. Mimes in the form of God on high mutter and mumble low, and hither and thither fly mere puppets they who come and go, at bidding of vast formless things that shift the scenery to and fro, flapping from out their condor wings invisible woe. That motley drama, oh be sure, it shall not be forgot, with its phantom chased forevermore by a crowd that sees it not, through a circle that ever returneth in to the self-same spot, and much of madness and more of sin and horror the soul of the plot. But see, amid the mimic rout, a crawling shape intrude, a blood-red thing that rides from out the scenic solitude. It rides, with mortal pangs, the mimes become its food, and seraphs sob at vermin fangs in human gore imbued. Out. Out are the lights, out all and over each quivering form. The curtain, a funeral pall, comes down with the rush of a storm. While the angels, all pallid and wan, uprising, unveiling, affirm that the play is the tragedy man, and its hero, the conqueror worm.
It's always such a pleasure to hear some Edgar Allan Poe. Love that guy. Good. Our next student is Ethan Katnick, who will be doing the vacuum. Ethan is from Laguna Blanca School.
The Vacuum by Howard Nemerov. The house is so quiet now. The vacuum cleaner sulks in the corner closet, its bag limp as a stopped lung, its mouth grinning into the floor. Maybe at my slovenly life, my dog-dead youth. I've lived this way long enough. But when my old woman died, her soul went into that vacuum cleaner. And I can't bear to see the bag swell like a belly, eating the dust and the woolen mice, and begin to howl. Because there is old filth everywhere. She used to crawl in the corner and under the stair. I know now how life is cheap as dirt, and still the hungry, angry heart hangs on and howls, biting at air.
We're getting down to our last few readers. For those of you following along in your program, the 19th reader is not going to be here, I believe. Henry Farrell, I believe, was canceled. So Tegan, you'll just be a little bit ready. Next up is Lottie Johnson, who will be doing from Sonnets from the Portuguese, number 43, from Anacapa School.
How Do I Love Thee? Let Me Count the Ways by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach when feeling out of sight, for the ends of being an ideal grace. I love thee to the level of every day's most quiet need, by sun and candlelight. I love thee freely, as men strive for right. I love thee purely as they turn from praise. I love thee with the passion put to use in my old griefs and with my childhood's faith. I love thee with the love I seem to lose with my all saints. I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life, and if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death. Thank you.
I just wanted to take an opportunity, because she's going to have to leave early, to introduce Annette Hurtado from Assemblyman Doss Williams' office. Annette. She'll be leaving off a certificate later, but I wanted to introduce her. And is Leora here from, no, I don't see her, from Hannah-Beth Jackson's office.
Our judges are getting so quick, you get more polished as you get through the list. Lindsay Friesen will be doing Lazy, Pioneer Valley High School. Is it Friesen? Okay.
Lazy by David Yezi. I don't say things I don't want to say or chew the fat with fat cats just because. With favor givers who want favors back, I tend to pass on going for the ask. I send instead a series of regrets, slip the winding snares that people lay. The unruffledness I feel as a result, the lank repose, the psychic field of rye swayed in wavy air is my respite. Among the chivalry of clanging egos on the packed commuter train again tonight, sapping and demeaning. It takes a lot to get from bed to work and back to bed. I barely go an hour before I'm caught, wincing at the way that woman laughs or he keeps clucking at his magazine. And my annoyance fills me with annoyance. It's laziness that lets them seem unreal. A radio with in and out reception blaring like hell when it finally hits a station. The song that's on is not the one I'd hoped for, so I wait distractedly for what comes next. Thank you.
Well, we are gathered here without our first poet laureate, Barry Spax, who passed away last year. One of his posthumous collections is called Frets and Struts. You can also find a Spax Street right next to Granada Books, just off State Street. But I thought I'd share a very short poem of his called Happiness. Is where you stand at noon. It's right below your feet. It's the part of you that doesn't cast a shadow. That's our guy. Kayleen Harshbarger, The Way It Sometimes Is, from Orchid Academy High School.
The Way It Sometimes Is by Henry Taylor. At times, it is like watching a face you have just met, trying to decide who it reminds you of. No one, surely, whom you ever hated or loved, but yes, somebody. Somebody. You watch the face as it turns and nods, showing you at certain angles a curve of the lips or a lift of the eyebrow that is exactly right. And still the lost face eludes you. Now this face is talking, and you hear a sound in the voice, the accent on certain words. Yes, a phrase. You barely recall sitting outside by a pool or a campfire, remarking a peculiar recurring expression. 2 syllables, wasn't it? Doorknob, bathroom, Shawcross? What the hell kind of word is Shawcross? A name, not the right one. A couple of syllables that could possibly be a little like something you may once have heard. So the talk drifts, and you drift, sneaking glances pounding your brain. Days later, a face occurs to you, and yes, there is a resemblance. That odd word, though, or phrase, is gone. It must have been somebody else. Yes, it's like that at times. Something is maybe
And there are days when you can almost say what it is. Thank you.
Yeah, it's okay. I could also get legs that were extendable and retractable. That could work too. Judges, you're ready so quick? Okay. Our final reader of this spectacular afternoon, Tegan Ellsworth, Dulce et Decorum Est, from Pioneer Valley High School.
Dulce et Decorum Est by Wilfred Owen. Bent double, like old beggars under sacks. Knock-kneed, coughing like hags, we cursed through sludge. Till on the haunting flares we turned our backs and towards our distant rest began to trudge. Men marched to sleep. Many had lost their boots, but limped on, bloodshot. All went lame, all blind, drunk with fatigue, deaf, even to the hoots of gas shells dropping softly behind. Gas, gas, quick boys, an ecstasy of fumbling, fitting the clumsy helmets just in time. But someone still was yelling out and stumbling, and floundering like a man in fire or lime. Dim through the thick glass and thick green light, as under a green sea, I saw him drowning. In all my dreams, before my helpless sight, he plunges at me, guttering, choking, drowning. If, in some smothering dreams, you too could pace behind the wagon that we flung him in and watch the white eyes writhing in his face, his hanging face like a devil's sick of sin, if you could hear at every jolt the blood come gargling from his froth-corrupted lungs, obscene as cancer, bitter as the cud of vile, incurable sores on human tongues, my friend, you would not speak with such high zest to children ardent for some desperate glory. The old lie, dulce et decorum est, pro patria mori.
So, thank you to all the readers. I'd like to quickly acknowledge our judges once again: Perry Longo, Sojourner Kincaid Roll, Paul Willis, Sharon Hoshida, all the readers, all the teachers, the Santa Barbara County Arts Commission, National Endowment for the Arts, Poetry Foundation, California Poets in the Schools, and California Arts Council. And we will invite you to join us for a reception next door while we do the final tally for everything.
Yeah, I wanted to announce that we have Nell Campbell here, who took photographs last year. So she will be joining those of you in the reception area. This is a great opportunity for you to get some photos of your school groups. So please take advantage of that opportunity. We'll take, I think, a 20-minute break. I think. We'll see. We'll come get you, but I think about that. We'll come back. We'll have the announcement of the winners. And we have certificates for each and every one of you that participated, so please stick around for that. And then we'll be announcing the runner-up, honorable mention, runner-up, and first place who will go to Sacramento. So please enjoy the refreshments next door. Thank you.
Their work. Thank you, judges, again. part of being a poet is being good at adding and doing math and judging things like this. So it takes a little longer than it might take if we did it the other way around. So I would like to say, first of all, thank you again to everybody that participated. I want to remind everybody that we have certificates for every one of the students, and we will be having photos after for everybody. So please stay. Teachers, students, stay. We'll do a big group shot. It's one of the feel-good moments of the year. We love it, so please do. And also I wanted to acknowledge our string players that were here at the beginning of things. I should probably wait for Jenny. She was going to do this, but just slow. So the artistry of strings. So they were fantastic. And they're here every year. Where is Jenny? Okay. So this one time, I was at a poetry thing, and then the people that were supposed to be there weren't there. So sorry, it's just building the suspense, right? We all have audience favorites, you know. We should do that, like wave hands and like have the the clap-o-meter thing, whatever they call that.
Let's just do the wave.
Yeah, the wave. All right. Does anybody that is in the audience have a poem by heart that they can recite or would like to share? We've had some really interesting, like, stand-up audience moments in the past. You're done? No? Yeah, it's true. You're kind of following the masters at this point. Okay. I did mention the strings. Are you ready? Are we ready to announce our winners? Okay. Okay. So we're not going to do the wave, but we can do a drum roll, right? You guys are good. Honorable mention from Orchid Academy High School, Erin Garcia for Onions. This is a placeholder. You will get one with your actual name on it. Our runner-up, this is the person who, should the winner be unable to serve, will have to step in. So they are the vice winner. Second place, the runner-up is Axelina Hallstrom, also Pioneer Valley High School. The Death of Alligator. Also from Pioneer Valley High School, the winner of this year's Poetry Out Loud competition, Aldrin Isip. Congratulations. Thank you all, and let the photos commence. Yeah?
Yeah, several things. We want to take photos of everybody that participated, so please come up. We're going to do that photo first, and then I definitely need to see the winner and the runner-up, and I need to get information from you for photo release. So I have to make sure that housekeeping gets done tonight. And you should see something in the paper tomorrow or the next day. So thank you all. On behalf of the Arts Commission, I can't say what a great, great job each and every one of you did. It was really, I think, the most spectacular competition that we've had to date. So thank you again for your dedication to this program. And we have certificates for everyone.